Hi, I'm Kevin Newell of Humane Wildlife Solutions, here with Jade from the Animal Aid, hosting this Wildlife Summit presentation with the amazing Sid Thomas.
Welcome to the Wildlife Summit 2020 and our interview with the fantastic Sid Thomas. He's a devoted animal rights activist who's been defending wildlife all over the world, ranging from foxes and seals in the UK to whales with sea shepherd. Sid's a great ally to wildlife, and we're really excited to have the chance to talk with him today and share some of his incredible stories with the world. So yeah, Sid, you've done some extraordinary things for wildlife. Could you tell us a bit more about what sparked your initial interest in animal rights?
Yeah, hi all. Yeah, very beginning. I don't know. Since I was a kid, I've had an empathy for animals. I love birds, especially. And we had rabbits and hamsters, you know, that sort of thing when we were kids. And I just love animals. And my dad used to take me out in the countryside to the environment, out into a country environment. And that gave me a great love of the countryside and therefore animals and nature, etc. And my mum was a very compassionate person. So I suppose I get it from them. It's just a lovely thing to have a bit of compassion is a good thing. It's a sort of gift, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. So you've always been an animal lover.
Yeah, although obviously not vegetarian, because when you're young, you don't know about these things.
No.
I had some terrible things, you know what I mean? But that's what people ate in them days, you know. But once you see the light, you're away then, and you know. So I have been vegan for 25 years or so, like 30 years.
That's good.
You know, and before that, I'm sorry for the animals, but there you go. What can you do?
What was the thing that kind of made you decide to go vegan in the end?
Well, I was veggie for a couple of years in the 80s, in the middle 80s, and then I seen a program. Basically, it was about production of meat and slaughterhouses, and these dumper trucks with the entrails of animals in big heaps. And I thought, it was unbelievable. I'd never actually seen it before, and that was the turning point. And that made me give a lot more thought to it, to dairy, to cutting out the dairy as well, everything else like that. So from then, from about 96, I thought it was 96. I went vegan. I was sabbing before that. Before I went vegan, I sabbed as a sort of vegetarian for a while, and obviously you're seeing other people saying, "Why are you eating that dairy?" And you say, "Well, what's wrong with it?" And then you learn off other people, people who have far more experienced in these things, and you learn off your betters, sort of thing, or more more informed people. You're educated all the time. You're being educated.
Exactly. Yeah. So it must have been a real challenge being vegan in the 90s. In general, it must have been quite challenging, especially compared to today, when you've got options absolutely everywhere.
Oh, it's ridiculous now. Back in the day, then you could get some nice milk called White Wave. It was disgusting. It was like chalk and water zapped together.
Remember, Sid, I've been vegan just over 21 years. And I still remember the powdered soy milk. It's awful. Yeah. Things are so easy these days.
It's incredible, isn't it? Yeah, you could get my sauce mix. Yeah, sorry, sauce mix. And some sort of a bit of a veggie paste. Cheese, I don't think there was any type of cheese. And if it was absolutely disgusting. But so we lived off vegetables and sauce mix for the meaty, the meaty side of it. And then I think Lynn McConney came along. There was a few bits, but it was pretty grim. Now it's absolutely mind blowing, isn't it? You walk around the supermarkets now, and there's a glut of vegan food, which is all great. Some of it's fantastic, some of it's still not good. But it's like in the co-op. You've got a Kashmiri vegan, Kashmiri pizza or something. I think. What the hell do you want that for? You know what I mean? It's got. Anyway, I won't go there. But that's quite disgusting. Anyway, what were we saying?
Yeah, to each their own, I guess. Yeah, there are some like crazy things out there that you never kind of would have thought would be vegan. Even like vegan steak still kind of amazes me. I'm kind of like, I'd never tried steak in my life. I've been veggie most of my life and then vegan. But I was just like, this is a thing that people want. But I tried it a couple of times and yeah, it's fairly impressive.
It is. But there is absolutely no excuse for anybody who has access to these things to say, well, I can't do this, I can't do that. It's there. It's as simple as that. It is slightly more expensive, but it doesn't have to be, because you can do it yourself and live cheaply on a vegan diet. So yeah, no excuse nowadays. Back in the day, it was bloody awful, and you couldn't get a coffee. You couldn't get coffee. You have to take your own soy milk along, and you say, "Can you put this in?" They say, sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. So it's absolutely fantastic. There's a few places you can go now where you can't find an option, which is a terrific thing. Great.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you started sabbing before you went vegan. So when you were vegetarian, when did you start sabbing, and what kind of got you involved in that?
Yeah, sabbing. I think it was about 86. I think I went to a festival, and I seen an advert, a poster somewhere. They have all these posters somewhere. This would be before the phones and this sort of thing. So it was on posters and that. And I think I seen a Hunt Sab's poster, and I just thought about these people. I was like, these seem to be pretty, full-on guys, but they're very passionate, which is just, to me was quite unusual. If if you're soft, usually a tough guy, you'd eat meat and all this. And these are pretty, you don't say any nonsense guys, but they've got a lot of compassion for the animals. And it bothered me about bullfighting. But somebody put in Spain, which is disgusting, because we didn't know about fox hunting, but we knew about bullfighting because it was on the television. So, and I was angry with that. And someone said to me, yeah, but over here you got fox hunting. And I'd heard of it, but I didn't know. So I looked more into it. And I said, well, so I joined the local group, went up to one of the little stores in town, collecting for the local South Devon Animal Rights it was. And I said, do you know about fox hunting? He said, yeah, come along to the Snooty Fox, they said, which was the pub where they have the meeting. St Mary Church, yeah, called the Snooty Fox. So I went along there with my mates, dragged them along. And they're really nice people. They're still going today, Hayden. And I said, yeah, I'd like to help. So within a couple of weeks, I'm driving the bloody Landy for the Dartmoor. Wow. And I remember my first sab was the East Devon Foxhounds. And it was terrifying.
I bet.
What the hell? Yeah, it was down around Ottery St Mary. And would you believe Swampy was in the card as well? You might know Swampy, Danny. Our child used to call him them days. And he was arrested that day. He had patchouli oil on him, and the copper thought it was cannabis. This is true. So he was arrested. And we had a hairy day that day with the East Devon. They were pretty violent. And after that, we survived that day. And I remember the next time we went out, we'd be going on the motorway. And before you turn off to Ottery St Mary or that area, your stomach would turn over slightly, because you knew, well, you didn't know what you're going into, but you knew it wasn't going to be very nice. So that was my first beginners. But, soon toughened up. And so that's a long time. Yeah, I've been doing it since then. All over Devon, originally. That's some 10, 15 years. And then, we did Cornwall. Yeah, we used to go to Dorset to help with great Neil over there in the Dorset Sabs. And now South Coast Sabs, I believe. And they come and help us. you said we go to Cornwall, help down there, like all the way down to the UK, you know, down to the Lizard, in fact. So and we do a lot in Dartmoor. So yeah, happy days, beautiful.
Wow.
That was the start of it.
And are you still sabbing now, Sid? Are you still out in the field?
Yeah. Obviously we're on lockdown now, but we're still trying to get out, but we can't get into Wales. I think Wales the wind's staying out, but we can't get on them, and we can't help with DAF either over in North Wales because we can't really. But as soon as we get a chance, we get on whoever's going out. But it's lockdown in Cheshire, so it's quiet now at the moment. But we still got our eyes on them. You know, we've got people watching them. As everybody knows, it's very strange times we're living in. Very funny times.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
Still sabbing.
That's amazing.
They're still killing. We're still sabbing. So it's 30 odd years now. 30 years or something. But hey, there's some good people in the HSA. They've been doing it bloody near on 50 years, some of them. I love the HSA. They're a great crew.
Mm-hmm.
And they hold everything together. Fantastic.
In fact, Sid, while you say that, for people watching this, we do have a presentation by the Hunt Sabs, by a couple of Scottish Hunt Sabs. So do check that out. It will be on the Sunday as a presentation. So you can see the Hunt Sabs more there, and they'll be represented by a Sab from Edinburgh and a Sab from Glasgow, who will be talking about sabbing in general. So Sid, you'll probably want to watch that one as well, I reckon. You'll probably
we'll do, mate. Well, that'd be great. Yeah. You've been doing good lately. Yeah, I've seen you. I've been keeping up with your videos up there. You know, it's getting a bit heavy up there, isn't it? It's getting a bit nasty.
It's getting a bit hairy. Yeah, that's because you know what it's like, Sid. The hunters always get a little bit aggressive when they're under pressure, and they know they're not being able to get their bloodlust. They turn to attacking people, as always.
Yeah, of course. Well, if we start again, if hunting is allowed again in the near future before the season ends, we'll hopefully try and have an away day up to Scotland and see you. Maybe we should get one there closer to England. You know, give us a shout, and we'll all pile up.
There's plenty of them around, so there's loads of hunts about to pick from, I guess.
Yeah, no, we'd like to do that. Like, as you know, we've been up there, and it'd be nice to go and Sam up there. You know, give them a warning, let them know. Enjoy that, yeah.
So, with your sabbing, has it mostly been fox hunting, or is there any other kind of UK wildlife that you've been involved with protecting or working with?
Well, obviously we've done harrier packs, which is hare. We did quite a lot of hare back in Devon. Mm-hmm. Some of the harrier packs, and also the beagle packs. We did the Britannia Beagles once, which was based in Dartmouth. And I remember running alongside the admiral of the fleet. he was the huntsman, and he was, to be honest, he was a very charming bloke, very. And the huntsman was the man who sank the Belgrano in the Argentinian War. This is another strange fact. But this is the people that you deal with. Yeah. He was the captain of the ship that sank the Belgrano. Wow. So that was just a bit of a fact in case anyone asks. Yeah. So we did hare, we did fox, and obviously we got the badger collar now. I think I think it's about the 7th year we've been on it. Badger collar. And as all hunt sabs, we all get involved in lots of animal rights issues, local and internationally, and anything that pops up, we have a go at and trying to help. So yeah, active, like I said, like all animal rights people, we're active across the board. If it comes up, we'll have a go, and because we have to. There's not many of us really who put themselves on the line and get out there, which is it's a shame really, but I know it's not for everybody. Certainly not the badger call. Who likes the badger?
That's tough going, the badger call. I've done a couple of stints down there, and it is tough all going. That is.
Yeah,
So,
it is, mate, isn't it?
there's people out there trying to save the badgers, because I've been there, I've tried it. It is very, very, very hard going. So, all those people out in the fields protecting our badgers, thank you. Keep up the amazing
They're
work.
fantastic. They're all fantastic, absolutely, every one of them. And let's say thanks to our little crew. A lot of us didn't get out. I got off for some time, but there was a certain little number of, they know who they are, who were out every night, and they did a fantastic job. So I'd like to say thanks to them on here for all that they did. They took the baton and they ran with it. They were great, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, such an important job. Okay. Kevin, do you have any further questions about like UK stuff before we move on to Sea Shepherd?
Sea Shepherd. Have you ever sabbed one of the stag hunts at all? So they're down in the West Country way. Have you ever been sabbing them?
no. No, terrifying. I drove over there one time many years ago, across the country where they usually go around Minehead and all that area. And I just, the feeling I had was just of evil for the whole area. It was terrible. Yeah. So, I did a little bit with one of the guys in the New Forest, Kevin Hill, many years ago. But I would say no, I haven't really done a stag hunt, and not many people have. It's not the sort of thing you can, it's, believe me,
they're
if you
quite
think
horrific, aren't they?
Yeah, and they're very heavy characters, and there's a great deal of people and traffic, and you put your life on the line there. That needs a lot of thought needs to go into that before you start actually trying to sab it, because you could end up.
Just anyone watching and you want to sab, don't go out on your own. Get in touch with your local hunt sab group, and they'll guide you, teach you everything you need to know. Don't anyone out there just try and go out and sabotage a fox hunt, a stag hunt, a hare hunt on your own. It can be dangerous. It can probably back up. So yeah, just be safe.
Yeah. Take guidance from the HSA. They'll always, if you've got any questions, they always give you some good advice for the massive experience that they've got in the HSA. So, but as stag hunts, it's unbelievable that is going on, and I believe it's under the name of research, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
It's incredible how they do it, and they're still killing, and it's horrific. So maybe that's something that needs to be we need to put our attention to, I think, in the future, and get rid of that. And it's going to take some clever tactics, and it's going to take some doing, but we need to put a stop to that.
Agreed.
But it's also out the way, what I mean? It's South Devon, the area where the hunt stag is usually pretty sparsely populated, and it's pretty tricky to get to, So that's one thing. But it needs some thought on that. I'd like to do it. So.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I think Jade's probably got some questions now regarding about your time in Sea Shepherd.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about your international work that you've done, and I guess that would mainly involve your time with Sea Shepherd. So it'd be great to hear a bit about that. We've spoken briefly about it before, and sounds like you still have some really incredible stories.
Yeah, it was quite amazing experiences there. We're so lucky. Definitely. The bottom line is, it was such a great thing to do. The first campaign I did, basically, which was the zero tolerance in Antarctica, and it was quite surreal. It was wonderful and surreal, and again, the connection with Sea Shepherd. It's like Sea Shepherd to the hunt sabbers, was that connection helped a great deal, and it wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have been a hunt sab, and if I wouldn't have been vegan, it wouldn't have happened, because I went to the Bristol vegan fair one summer of 2012, and I was pretty lost basically, because I just lost my wife, and I met an old friend there, Neil Buckock, South Coast. Hello, Neil. And he introduced me to sorry. He took me to the stall, Sea Shepherd stall there, because it told me what's happened. And he introduced me to the people there. And lovely Adam from South Coast Sabs, got chatting to him. He was on the Sea Shepherd stall, also on Sab. And we got chatting. And he said, "What you do?" I said, "Well, I do engineering, plumbing, blah, blah, blah." And he said, "Hey, they want a plumber on the Bob Barker."
Wow.
I'm going, "What's the Bob?" Yeah, well, I said, "What's the Bob Barker?" Said, yeah. He said, "I'll put you, I'll get in touch." And I'm like laughing, thinking, "Nah, no way, you know." But I said, "Yeah, that's very nice of you. Okay, thanks, you know." Anyway, bloody hell, it came to pass. Long story, but it did. And within a couple of months, I was flying out to Sydney to join the Bob Barker.
Amazing. When was
that? That would be September 2012.
Wow.
September 2012. Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember getting off the. I was rubbish on the computer, but I soon got handy with one when I had to fill in forms, you know, and book tickets and flights and what thing, and it was kick up the arse to get in touch with, you know, to get used to technology. And suddenly, before I know it, I stepped off the plane in Sydney, and there's a Cove Guardian guy there, Sea Shepherd, Annie. That was great. Met me there. Took me to White Bay. It was in Sydney, and but can you imagine driving up to the Bob Barker at night and seeing it there with his teeth, and I think, good God. Walk up the gangplank into the galley, and it's like half the crew were there because it was still getting together, you know, people with arrival and whatnot. And a lovely bunch of people. And from that point onwards, that was it. There was no homesickness, no sadness, no anything. It was just one wonderful adventure. And to be on I thought, the Bob Barker, I'm here with all its teeth and whatnot, and it was wonderful. So I spent 2 months there doing repairs on the ship. They wanted a particular job to run some pipe work through the engine room, through some tanks and whatnot. And so I did a lot of that sort of stuff. Prepared some of the gear that they needed to take down to Antarctica in case things broke. So I helped out in that way. And then I was asked to join the Steve.
Wow.
How do you turn that down? He said, "Do you need somebody to cover as a, engineer on watch?" So I thought, well, yeah, you know, so I'm not a great ship engineer, but I've done engineering, and thankfully they thought it'd be okay. So yeah, so after 2 months of a really wonderful time with the crew in Sydney and on the ship and cycling around Sydney and meeting incredible people there, you know, the people I met on that ship, and we were fundraising there, and I used to go cycling and running around Sydney Harbour and things. Beautiful. I had to leave all my old buddies and then go to fly to New Zealand. Flying New Zealand Airways to Samoa. So before I know it, I'm in Samoa.
Wow.
What am I doing in Samoa? And and because they said you're going to Pago Pago, and I said, "Where's Pago Pago?" And they said, "I don't know." So I think it was very secret, you see. Anyway, we found out. So we ended up there, and then I realized I was waiting for the taxi, that's right, to take me to Pago Pago. And he said, "Well, you won't go in here, mate, because it's not on this island. It's on it's in American Samoa." You know? So I had to get a taxi to the airport and fly from there to American Samoa, and it was on a little sort of twin engine plane, about 20-seater. And I flew over the rainforest. It was only about a 40-minute flight. And then I landed in American Samoa. Took a taxi. Pago Pago. Got a taxi for the night because the ship wasn't in, the Steve. And I had to wander around the next day. And the ship finally came in. And they threw the line out to me to catch and pull the ropes in. And the ship docked, and I met all these wonderful people on the Steve, which was absolutely fantastic. So we spent 10 days there, It was 10 days. Exploring the island again, get the ship ready, and making final plans and getting to know everybody. And then we sailed out into the Pacific. And we hung around a lot because, well, to see what was happening. We didn't know what the Japanese were doing. And then at some stage, Paul Watson turned up out of nowhere from the British Bordeaux in a boat, came aboard, gave him a big hug, and I thought, is this real? This really is. It's fantastic.
Wow.
So we spent quite a long time around the South Pacific. Then we finally went down to New Zealand, where we bunkered and we took on fuel, water, and supplies, and a few bags of crisps. Because once you go down to the Southern Ocean, there's no shops down there. And that was the one. So now we had our last final piss up, let's say. We all got quite drunk there. Well, I did anyway. After that, there was none of that, really. We occasionally had a beer on there for a special occasion, but it's the dry ship, and so it should be. You know, it has to be. And yeah, it's just from there we sailed down towards Antarctica, and it took. What was the time limit? Okay. Sorry, something just came up on the screen.
Yeah, me too.
Well, there you go. Yeah, so slowly going down. It's getting colder and colder and colder, getting wilder and wilder. And then you see a piece of ice, and then you see a bigger piece of ice, then a bigger bit. And we're looking for bits of ice, and before you know it, you get amongst icebergs as big as blocks of flats, 2 miles long by 10 stories high.
Was it scary?
No, absolutely, just wonderful.
Yeah.
Were you not worried the icebergs?
Never. No, they're all little ships, and the ocean's scary, and I'm not just saying this, but I had such confidence in the chief, especially the chief engineer and the captain, Sid Chakrabarty, and all the crew, that I never once doubted that I'd get back alive, So the rest, that gives you plenty of time just to be in wonder of the beauty of the place. Absolutely mind blowing. I can say here now, that's the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. Is an iceberg. Close up, these icebergs, it's just, they basically talk. There's a presence about them, which is it's hard to put into words, really. And it's so clean, pristine, untouched, no rubbish floating about, no plastic bottles, no face masks hanging about, supermarket bags. It's pure, it's beautiful, and it's wonderful. And you could sail through avenues, literally avenues of icebergs either side, like going down a big high street. And it's you've only got to look at pictures close up of icebergs, and you see how wonderful it is. And then we stopped somewhere, and Paul was on board, of course, Paul Watson. We come to an ice shelf somewhere, must be in the Ross Sea, and we cut the engines on the boat, and the silence was totally deafening because there's nothing, there's no sound. All we could hear was the whales, was the minke whales that were feeding not far from us.
You could hear them.
Oh, absolutely. There was no noise. There's no noise at all. You could just hear them, and we were watching them in the near distance, And Paul Watson was taking the mickey, saying, "Oh, there's a penguin." We go, where? Wasn't any penguins, but he's a funny guy. He wasn't a hell of a guy. And but that was absolutely marvelous, just to actually see the whales that we are hopefully trying to protect.
Yeah.
That we were trying to protect. So the next big thing is we had company, which was I think it was the Yushin 2, which is a harpoon ship. Japanese have 3 harpoon ships, and they found us before we found them, I believe. So they trailed us for about 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a slow, long campaign. And we, of course, if we got near the Nishimaru, then they would warn them, so we could always keep away from us. So it was a tricky business. By this time, the fleet was split up. The Sam Simon wasn't with us. The Bob wasn't with us. Bridget Bordeaux had gone off, and I think the 3 ships had a harpoon ship with them. So you couldn't have been doing too much whaling because of that, which was good for us. And yes, anyway, at some stage before the Sam Simon turned up, we didn't know what it was. It was a Japanese whaling ship, all white, and we knew we had another ship, but it was completely secret to the crews what it was, what it looked like. Anyway, it turned up, and there it was, the Sam Simon. And we got close by, and it was a lot of my old friends were on there, which I'd met in Sydney, and they were crewing that ship. And it was wow. That was fantastic. It was fantastic. To keep that secret.
Was it scary not knowing if they were the Japanese whalers when they approached?
Okay. It turned up. It's not so much scary, but interesting. What's going on here? And then at some point, someone must have said, "Oh, it's the Sam." I don't know what point that was, but when we realised, it was incredible. We all waved at each other and that, you know. And what a moment that was. There was also another fabulous moment before the action really started. But all the 4 ships got together. The Bridget Bordeaux, the Sam Simon, the Bob Bark, and the Steve, all in close proximity to each other. And the sun was it's like sunshine on a summer's day in England, bright sunshine. The sea was like as flat as ice. It was the most beautiful day. And so we jumped in a fast boat, and we go visiting each other, each ship, and say hello to our old buddies now. That was one moment. The whole fleet down there together, and it was terrific. I could speak for days about it. You know, about what happened there, and the clashes. You can see the clashes obviously on YouTube and stuff like that. There were other things that happened that they don't show. Not for any real reason, but there was lots of other actions took place, more close quarter stuff, let's say, which they can't really show, or for whatever reason didn't show. But there's a lot happened there that you don't see on Wales. You know, all very good, and that's all fantastic.
So I'm going to have to leave us here now, Sid. I've got to head out. I could sit here all day and listen to this. Okay, I'll see you later, Sid. Love to see you, Manuela. See you later, Jade.
Bye.
Bye, Manuela. Bye, Sid.
Bye, Kevin.
Bye.
There you go.
Do you want to carry
Listen,
on?
it was all about me. It's all about me.
Yeah, should we carry on for a little bit longer? Or is that okay? Or... Yeah.
That's
you mentioned something about clashes. Could you tell us a bit more about any kind of clashes that you were involved in, or any kind of scary moments?
Okay. Well, there were scary moments, but they were more. It's quite ridiculous. Like I said, you can see all this sort of stuff on YouTube. People are not seeing it, and it's worth a look.
Yeah, I can pop some links in as well.
Yeah.
For people that are watching, if they want to have a look.
The Bob Barker basically is the strength of the fleet, meaning physically the strength of that. That can take a hammering, and it did take a hammering. Oh yeah. There's a bit.
Oh wow.
That is the Nishimaru as it rammed the.
I love that you have that framed. That's amazing.
Yeah, but you can just see my head just there, and that was the most amazing thing. I literally couldn't touch it with my fingers away from me, but I thought I best not touch. That's how close we were to things. Yeah. That was just one of the moments. But the Bob, we took a hammering and we took some damage. It was scary, but the Bob took a terrible amount of battering. And at one time, we moved away from that position. We went around to the other side, and the Bob Barker just came in and took up our position in between the Sun Laurel, which is the fuel ship, and the Nishimaru, and it was hammered by water cannon, and it was pushed over on its side for about 30 degrees, and it was quite terrifying, ridiculous. And I watched the whole that's from the port side, looking across the three ships, and that went on for some time. And at one point, I think our crew, the crew on the Bob, we were giving T-shirts out to the crew on the other ships. For the crew who didn't really want to be there. These deckhands on them ships, they said, "Well, we don't want to be here. Why are we here? We didn't even know we were coming here." So we made a bit of contact with them. Absolutely incredible, and it was very dangerous. You can, like I said, you can see it on YouTube or Whale Wars or whatever. The only time that I did feel a great fear for the crew was when the Bob Barker was crushed between the Sun Laurel and the Nishimaru, in that iconic moment where it was bouncing between the two ships, being water cannoned, ridiculously dangerous, buffeted, water cannoned, and I thought, this is bad. And then when the flash grenades came, they threw grenades on there, and you've got a fuel ship. This is how something didn't go. I'll never know. That is the only time when I felt fear. And it wasn't fear for us; it was fear for the crew members who I knew.
Yeah.
On the, you know. But what an iconic moment that was. That view there that you see was the view from the bow of the Steve, which I was on at the time. I had a little bit of freedom from the engine room because I was keeping watch what was going on. So that was the only time I was really scared for those people on there. And it was oh, hang on. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, so I could go forever. Like on the ships, time on the ships with these incredible people that we met on there. I love the crew. Still in touch with many of them now. And we sort of, although like it's quite Spartan on board, we live like kings, we ate like kings, because the food there was fantastic. Like all the people working in the galley from all over the world, the beautiful food that we're given us.
Wow.
I mean, we'd have fabulous food, all completely vegan. Food from all over the world, because obviously the cooks came from various places, South Africa, Hungary, England, and so we had a great deal of great food. And can you imagine having like a chocolate cake after your meal? That's what we had. And
that's not what you really expect.
A raw chocolate cake.
Yeah.
Eh?
It's not
raw
really
chocolate cake.
Yeah. When you think, life on a ship, you think it's going to be, a lot of canned foods and things like that. But that sounds fantastic.
Oh, what they did, I don't know. Towards the end of the campaign, we did get very low. We were eating sort of rice and beans, but even those were delicious. The way they created them, they were fantastic. The best food I've ever eaten. And
wow.
We have great fun on there. Overnight we'd have like book clubs. We play games, spit poetry. The good Captain Paul Watson, he'd come and talk. He just burst into poetry on a whim. Wow. And always a fascinating character. We had the Antarctic Poker Championship down up there on the ice, where some of the other captains, when we were all together, we play a hand of poker for a few dollars, $10, and that's it. Winner takes all, and that was great fun. I never won.
Well, you met like a few like celebrities and things like that during your time.
Yeah. Well, Well, when he got back, we met the guy from Aerosmith, Steve Tyler, and the other guy on guitar, and they were really nice, lovely people. They loved it, had a little chat with them, and we given them like sort of free tickets to go backstage with them.
Wow.
We were treated so well. You know, we were right at the front. I could touch Steve Tyler from where I was standing. It was amazing. It was good fun. And so we had there were a few perks that we had when we came back after the campaign. But also on the Bob, when I was on the Bob Barker in Sydney, I met a lovely new American guy from New York, and he was like the first. He sort of discovered the big rubbish tip in the Pacific.
Wow.
With all the plastic. He was a massive 100 square miles of plastic or whatever. And he came to dinner. He was telling us about that. I met the two lovely English scientists who first recorded the song of the humpback whale.
Wow.
And again, they were fascinating. They were telling me all about it and showing me, playing it to me and that. Amount of characters I met. It just went on and on, to be honest. It just went on and on. And from a personal point of view, it was almost you couldn't buy that sort of thing. You couldn't buy that sort of adventure. And the beauty, I'm going on about this, but the purpose was, of course, to save the whales. And the Japanese had a quota of I think it was 1,032 was in approximately. And we managed to save 932 of those whales.
Wow.
They did not kill. They are the Japanese fisheries figures. And so that was absolutely, and some of them would have been pregnant. A percentage of those would have been pregnant. So that on its own, those figures, that on its own is worth everything. So fulfilling. So fulfilling. Just, yeah. And they asked the Japanese, they said, how come that you didn't manage to catch the quota of whales that you wanted? And they said, well, it was the relentless pursuit by Sea Shepherd which stopped us. So you know what the next campaign was called? Yeah, Operation Relentless.
Amazing.
And they always did this. They were very clever Sea Shepherd. Well, they are very clever, very smart. And they bought the Japanese ship, the Sam Simon, by pretending not to be Sea Shepherd, basically. And the Japanese didn't know who they were selling that ship to. And that was a very clever move that was. What a move that was. An embarrassment for the Japanese. Beautiful ship as well. I spent a little bit of time on there and did some little bit of work on there. And
so how many of the ships have you been on in total?
Well, I did 2 months on the Bob Barker, mainly in dock. Then I was transferred to the Steve, and I did 6 months at sea basically on that. About 5 or 6 months on the campaign. And in that time, we joined together with the Sam, so I got to have a look around the Sam Simon down in the Pacific or in Antarctica, I think it was. And the Bridge of Bordeaux had just a visit on the Bridge of Bordeaux. So I've served on 2 of them mainly, but I've been on all the ships and the fast boats. Fast boats are very exciting. Very scary.
Yeah. Wow.
I can remember we were going to visit the Bob Barker from the Sam, so we all got sort of tidied up nice and tidy, as we could, because we're going to go and visit. I remember stepping onto the fast boat, I just combed my hair and everything, and suddenly a wave just came and just smashed over me, and it looked like a dog's dinner. And I looked at the bosun as if to say, "This is not supposed to happen." And he looked at me, he just, "Shut up, Sid, shut up." You got wet, But it was fabulous. It was fabulous.
How long were you away in total?
How long
were you with Sea Shepherd in total?
Well, I flew out there in September, and I left in May because we got back in about the 22nd of March from the campaign. But I stayed on board. I was doing some repairs to the ship, doing a lot of maintenance and that sort of thing, till I took my flight home. So it was 9 months basically. Yeah, it was about 8-9 months.
Okay.
But on my certificate, we have a beautiful certificate that they gave us. It's absolutely fabulous, and it says on it 6 months sea time. So on the certificate, and no one's ever seen the certificate. I didn't think you get one, but when we got on dock, when we landed, when we got back to port in Sydney, we were presented by these things, and it was like I didn't know idea. They were absolutely wonderful. Yeah.
Wow.
So
It's fantastic.
yeah, so what else? Oh yeah. So a couple of years later, I was fortunate enough to go with Sea Shepherd, with the French Sea Shepherd France, on the French speedboat crew up into the Pharaoh Islands, where we drove up from Paris, I through Europe to Denmark, took the ferry across, drove onto the Pharaoh Islands to great applause, not, and stunningly beautiful islands, and we covered the whole, covered all them islands, either by boat or by road, like looking for places where we could launch the small boats. And when we'd marked them all off, the likely launching places, then the authorities immediately blocked all the slipways, so we couldn't really launch the ships. But we had to find other ways of doing that. Very difficult campaign. Stunning islands. The people were friendly enough, really, despite the carnage that they do, which is on a psychotic level.
Yeah, I've only seen photographs, and
it's this thing was, I remember that since when I was a kid, when it was on black and white. I'd be 8 and seeing this on some sort of crazy program, BBC way back in the 60s, and I thought, does this actually happen? And then to find yourself there, on those beaches, amongst that, I fortunately didn't see a lot of the well, there wasn't a lot went on, to be honest, a lot of the horror. I did see some of the aftermath of it, dead whales and things. And there's a lot of, well, there's a few heady moments on them speedboats, and but again, having faith in the crew and our small boat. Baptiste, he was our captain. He was so good that you got confidence. But I was a little bit scared once when there was a grind on a grind, and we got a call, and the journey that took us about 2.5 hours at night. I think we did it in about 45 minutes going back there, and we flew off the top of waves and slid down waves, and you just have to hang on for your life. Simple as that. But job done. They only killed, well, the casualties was about 40 odd. They took the boats off us. Look, we were facing commandos in huge ribs, and the Danish warship. And so once they took the ships off you, there's not what you can do. Yeah. But we made our point, and that instead of killing like 2,500, which they would often kill, only killed 40 odd. So a very successful campaign.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I just see myself as a very, very, very fortunate person to be able to follow my passion. And work alongside some of the most incredible people. Not just the Sea Shepherd people, or the Hunt Sabs. I mean, I'll go with that forever. I've done that a long time. Yeah. And great admiration for all the people who work, and for the HSA. What a fantastic organisation. And I appeal to everybody to support them and Sea Shepherd, because they are two of the best. They are direct action. Yeah. And all the monies that go, nobody's taking a cut of the money. Certainly HSA, nobody's paid for that. They just do it, and they do a wonderful job. Sea Shepherd, a fabulous direct action organisation. And thank God for Paul Watson. That's all I can say, because he started Greenpeace, him and Rob Hunter, I believe. And from then, when he left for whatever reasons to form Sea Shepherd in 1977, and that's why the Steve Irwin's number is 77.
Oh.
Yeah, what a job he's done. Yeah, complete respect for the man.
Definitely.
I love all the crews. Yeah, all the crews, all my Sabs, all my Sab buddies. They all know what it's like out there.
Yes.
So I could just finish on that really, and just say,
just
if you want to support Sea Shepherd, support HSA. You know, we're just HSA is a pretty small organisation really. It's been going over 50 years, and it's a great bunch of people right across the country, lots of different groups, and
fantastic people involved.
And Sea Shepherd, yeah, Sea Shepherd is it's the same sort of thing, but it's on a far bigger scale. I believe they got Sea Shepherd got about 12 ships now, and they crossed they're in Africa, the Gulf of Mexico, stopping illegal whaling, poaching, fighting pollution, plastics, overfishing, you name it, and they work alongside other countries, the armies of those countries, and off West Africa at the moment, and they're doing a great job. So I've been a very lucky man.
Yes.
And,
the world's very lucky to have you, and the animals are very lucky to have someone like you out there, you know, fighting for them.
People say that, I don't know, but there's a lot of us out there, you know, and I'm just grateful to have these adventures, have a purpose in life. It's a wonderful thing.
It really is, yeah.
I go, feel off, something overcome.
Well, thank you so much for doing this interview. It was really, really amazing to hear all this.
Oh, that's good. Well, we finally got it right at the end. Yes. Technology, but no, lovely. Thanks for this. It's been a pleasure to take part. You know.
Okay.
So I'd say everybody get out there, get involved, fight the fight. You know what's right.
Yeah, and make it. Yeah, and make a difference, as you've shown. You know, people can make a huge difference.
Yeah. Oh, so one last thing. So here's the Howl magazine. This is the HSA magazine, and as you can see there, Sea Shepherd.
Oh.
Where are we? Where are we going now? Oh, there you go. So in here is into the Paul Watson, and so that just gives you shows you the close connection we have with the Sea Shepherd, and a lot of Sabs. Well, a few Sabs have been out with them. Paul's been out with the Sabs way back in the day up in Scotland. But yeah, found some fantastic people. But he's some man, isn't he? He's some guy. I'm going now, so I'll say cheerio.
Okay, thank you.
Bye then.